Hey YouTube, Awesome Writer here. In today's video, we are going to be talking about the origins of the Squadron Rangers and the Emissaries that was given in the Power Rangers Universe 6-part mini-series. If you don't remember, the Squadron Rangers are the Gosei Sentai Dairanger suits that we skipped during adaptation during Mighty Morphin Season 2, and later we labeled them the Squadron Rangers as part of the new powers during Super Megaforce, but this comic was then billed as giving us an origin of them, and they were going to be the children of the Morphin Masters. However, it wound up being much more complicated than that. I'm going to briefly go over a quick explanation of what happened in regards to their origins as the Squadron Rangers and the Emissaries, and then discuss my thoughts on it and how it contradicts what we already know. So, the origins actually do begin with the Phantom Ranger, or at the time he was known as the Morphinaut, as he enters the Proto-Arch to enter the morphing grid to find a source of energy to help everyone. However, while he's there, he sees a looming shadow, which later we find out is Dark Spectre, and he aborts the project so that this malevolent force can achieve its goals, and in the process, he gets trapped there. 500 years later, on this same planet, which is called Planet 0117, this race of people that is apparently the Morphin Masters are preparing for an ascension to enter the Master Forge and enter the grid. And we focus on a collection of 6 characters that are the children of the Morphin Master, these 6 grid youths whose names are, and I apologize, delivery's all wrong, I'm probably butchering it, Ryan, Tolosi, Pyro, Orisinth, Aaliyah, and Zev. And during this time of ascension, an attack occurs by Dark Spectre's forces, and the Morphinaut is popped out of the Arch. He is radiated with grid energy, and effectively the story of this comic has these 6 heroes, as well as the Morphinaut, attempting to stop Dark Spectre from accessing the grid, because we find out that the energy of the grid is Dark Spectre's weakness, and he needs to find somebody that he can use to access the grid to destroy it. In the process of trying to do this, the 6 heroes siphon away the excess energy that the Morphinaut is emanating in order to help him as well as themselves. This results in them morphing into Power Rangers, and they morph into very familiar forms. If you're wondering why they're morphing into these forms, especially because they shouldn't exist yet, it's because the grid effectively exists between the entire multiverse at once, all at the same time. So for them, like, all of time is happening at once, just like it happens with the Emissaries, which was our first clue there. However, after transforming into these Legendary Ranger, or future Legendary Ranger forms, they soon begin shifting between various Ranger forms, which is both annoying and dangerous at the same time, and they need to figure out a way to use this power without being so unstable. This results in them using their hearts to create morphers, which allows them to stabilize and create their own Ranger forms, which is none other than the Squadron Rangers or the Gosei Sentai Dairanger suits, including an original Black Ranger suit, and they use these alongside the Morphinaut to continue the fight against Dark Spectre. However, at one point Dark Spectre attempts to corrupt them by using their negative energies, which is one of his abilities. However, the Morphinaut saves them by offering himself up as the vessel for Dark Spectre, using his negative energy over the guilt for the role he played in this situation, and he is possessed by Dark Spectre, resulting in a familiar black and silver appearance to his suit. And the 6 Squadron Rangers are trying to figure out a way to finish off Dark Spectre, not once and for all obviously, but to stop him from accessing the grid. Realize that they can do this by becoming conduits for all of the grid energy directly, though it's Blue that initially wants to take this on by themselves. They eventually all 6 agree to do it. They break their morphers and directly channel the grid energy, letting it flow through them. Results in the planet effectively being irradiated with grid energy so that it's now effectively inhabitable by Dark Spectre, since it's his weakness. And also, the flood of grid energy forces him to evacuate the Phantom Ranger's body or the Morphinaut's body. However, what they did here also results in the Squadron Rangers transforming into these emissaries of the grid. They are now these beings that shift between these various Ranger forms, or phase between these various Ranger forms, and they effectively become in tune or one with the grid, and as I said, emissaries of it. That they take pieces of their shattered hearts and create the ruby for the Phantom Ranger, which allows him to enter the grid, and they send him off to his mission, which results in him meeting Zordon, and then the emissaries themselves head off into their own missions and higher calling now as emissaries. That was the origin that was laid out before us, and at the time, as I said, we didn't know that this was going to be an origin for the emissaries. We knew we might find out more about the Morphin Masters, but going into this, we primarily thought we were going to find out more about the Squadron Rangers and the Phantom Ranger. However, this does contradict information we got previously, and just vibes we got previously. I mean, I forgot about this, to be honest, but recently in the Power Rangers comic, it was explained that the emissaries were created by the Morphin Masters, or the first ones, from light, and this resulted in the shadow creation of the Imperials as well. So that contradicts something we've been told. It creates a little bit of a mess there. I suppose you could say, though, this story was true from a certain point of view, as since the emissaries were once the children of the Morphin Masters, They did create them from light. That's what every mother does. So I guess with that, you could say it's a bit of an unreliable narrator situation if you're trying to fix the canon, or the case of a story getting, that old adage about a rumor, like the more it changes hands, the more the story changes. And so that could be easily fixed. There is a little bit of mess there with some of the things we've been told about them, and the Imperials as well, because they were supposedly like shadows of the Morphin Master of the Emissaries. Not to mention we've never seen the other 3 Emissaries. And even before we got this, as I mentioned in my review of this story, it's stated and basically and very strongly implied that the the Emissaries work at the pleasure of the Morphin Masters, like they're below them, they're their servants. And it's weird because this story would make you think, arguably, the Emissaries should be more important, since they are effectively merged with the grid to a degree and kind of know its will, whereas the Morphin Masters, though they're very smart with it and live within it, are just people that have studied it intensely. So I would argue someone that's more merged with it would know more, but what do I know? This has created a bit of a complicated situation. I will say, if you set aside the contradictions, I actually really like this origin for the Emissaries. I prefer it to the one we got in the primary comic. I think it's much more interesting. I like that it's tied with the Squadron Rangers. I wish we got more time with the Squadron Rangers as the Squadron Rangers, but if I had to pick an origin, I actually like this one just standing it by itself. Now, in regards to the mess of the contradictions, it is unfortunately something that does happen. It does kind of suck that there didn't seem to be more synergy between all the people working on the things, especially since Power Rangers has a lot less plates to juggle. I mainly bring that up because there are many franchises like Marvel or DC or Star Wars that will often have these contradictions happen or these retcons happen. And sometimes it happens simply because they have so many different things happening at once, so many different comics and books and shows and whatever, that sometimes it doesn't match up. But in the case of Power Rangers, there is a lot less things going on, so it's unfortunate that contradiction does happen. However, that it is another case of the Power Rangers fandom running into something that's extremely common in other franchises, and I think overblowing it. Especially in comics, there are very often retcons or contradictions that happen. I mean, if you go read a wiki page for any Marvel or DC superhero, you'll see how many times a backstory is changed or retconned, either accidentally or on purpose. So this is hardly something new. I'm not excusing it, I'm just saying it's something that's definitely happened before. Oftentimes in those situations, they will later try to fix it or remedy or kind of merge together the 2 explanations, and we'll have to see what they do. I hope that some way down the line they are able to sort of merge these things we know about them to have it make sense. But like I said, I do prefer this origin for the Emissaries compared to the one we got in the comic. I think it opens up the door for potential future storytelling between the Morphin Masters and the Emissaries. It does make things a little bit muddled at the moment, but I think if they can straighten it out, it could end up being really interesting. And if the situation changes, I will update you guys. As of this recording, I only decided to finally make this video because someone that worked on it confirmed that they were supposed to be the Emissaries, so I wanted to do the explainer now that we know they're meant to be the Emissaries. But I want to know what you guys think of this origin story. Which one do you prefer, and what do you think of the whole situation in general? Let me know in the comments as always. Until next time, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and climb the steps and ring that bell so you can get notifications for my videos. Dawson Ryder, signing out.